This wasn't the greatest wide receiver class going into the NFL draft. However, the NFL draft gave us a good hand in the first round, giving us some good landing spots for some of these top-tier wide receivers. Then throughout the draft, we had a few good landing spots to speculate on. All in all, it's an okay draft. Not the greatest wide receiver class, but we'll take it. We'll take some of these wide receivers, and we'll just try and do our best with them. Today, we're going to rank and tier off these wide receivers to help you out with your rookie drafts. If that's something you're into, make sure you smash that subscribe button. I also have one on the running backs. Check the link below if you want to look at the running backs as well. I have more rankings coming out. I'll have one with all the players on as well. Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. That way you get a good feel for your rookie drafts as well. But today, we're going hot and heavy on the wide receivers. And here we are. We're split off into tiers. Notice we got an A1 and A2 tier. We don't have a stud tier. We don't have no Justin Jeffersons. We don't have that kind of profile. But we do have some good players here on the top end. And I really, from a presentation standpoint, I just wanted to split it off like that. A1, I got two players here. First one, Jaxson Smith-Nijgba, first wide receiver off the board. I like the landing spot. I think it's great. So you got DK Metcalf there. He's going to work underneath. Really want to see what the passing volume is going to be like. But I feel like he, over time, can be fantasy relevant. Maybe even rookie season. I think this is a great spot. I think him working underneath while DK Metcalf stretches the field, I think he's going to be very safe. I think his upside, we're going to see where that goes. But I think he's going to be very safe. I see a lot of mock drafts. He's being drafted as the wide receiver one. So I don't see many people arguing against this point. But Jaxson Smith-Nijgba, good wide receiver in a good spot. Then Jordan Addison here. The other wide receiver in A1 here. Great spot. The perfect spot for him. We got Justin Jefferson on one side. Jordan Addison on the other side. A lot of passing volume. I look for Jordan Addison to have some role in fantasy, to have some sort of production and do something early. The odds of him busting, it's hard to see. It's hard to imagine, especially him going to Minnesota. I just can't see it. I can't really write the story around that, of him busting. It's really hard to do. Like Justin Jefferson going off for being double teamed, you know Jordan Addison's going to be able to do his thing on the other end. And the thing about him, as I stated in some of these videos, that I needed him to go to a spot like this for me to really go all in. Now we're here. We're here. So he's bumped up to A1. He's been in that A2 tier this whole time. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted for him. Him to go to a spot like this, and very few spots like this in the league. They're looking like a Devonta Smith type role because you got your A.J. Brown and then you got your Devonta Smith. Totally different players. But still, you got your stud wide receiver and your very, very good wide receiver, and just running amok all over the field. And you got some passing volume here. It's hard not to get excited about that. A2, Zay Flowers to Baltimore Ravens. And you look at that Raven bird right by him right there, and you kind of get a little nervous whenever you see a wide receiver go to the Ravens. But it looks like Lamar Jackson's got his new Marquise Brown. He's going to get downfield. He's going to get the air yards. He's going to get those deep targets. And he's nuanced enough to get those intermediate targets. Should get enough volume. Lord knows what's going on with Rashad Bateman's Liz Frank. We're seeing him running already. Jogging or whatever you want to call that. I caught the video on that. It's on the channel. But still, we don't know what's up with that. Mark Andrews is good. He's always going to get that large target share. But the air yards is going to matter in this offense. Zay Flowers is going to command that. He's going to command that early. He's got that dog in him. He's a very good wide receiver. A lot of you guys are going to question the volume. I think he's going to be okay. I don't see him busting at all. I very feel like he's safe. I feel like he's a good get. I see him going in the middle to late portion of rookie drafts in the first round. I see him going in that late part of the first round a lot. Middle part of that first round a lot. Somewhere around there. I've been looking at a lot of rookie drafts, and I see him falling in that range. And I think that's a good price tag for a guy that's probably going to get you Marquise Brown production in Baltimore. Something like that. That's going to be his role. That's what they're looking for. It just tells you. Look at his size. Look at what he did in Boston College. He gets downfield. Has a good A-dot. That's just what makes sense to me. And Quentin Johnston. For me, if he went to a bad landing spot that just didn't mix well, maybe even he went to Baltimore, would have clashed a little bit. But damn it, he went to The Chargers. He had to murky things up. We have these wide receivers going in spots that make sense for them. And honestly, I like them too. Some of the prospect profile I don't like, but I love the prospect profile too. And I'm a risk taker. I'll take risks on these wide receivers. And I feel like the risk has lessened now. Now that he's with the Chargers. He can get you yards downfield. He can get you those air yards, those deep targets, and he can get you yards after the catch. Now he's in an offense that will funnel him targets. All the other pass catchers in offense are injured and old. That's just something you don't want to see. Now you got Quentin Johnston there with a good quarterback, best quarterback of his life, going to get good targets going his way, and a high-volume offense that wants to move the football, that will move the football. So it's hard to bet against him. This is why it's called A1 and A2. Reason why it's A1 is because it feels safe. You're drafting with a condom on. A2, very good wide receivers, just as good as about good landing spots. But there's a little bit of a downside. You can make that story. So you're taking the condom off with these guys. Still think these guys are good wide receivers. These are good. This is why they're A's. They're first rounds. Everyone's going after these wide receivers. You may have a guy you like less than the other. But A1 and A2, pretty much the same thing. That's why they're A1 and A2. I'm not getting it twisted here, but they are split up a little bit. Due to safety, due to ADP as well. Everyone's taking Jaxson and Addison ahead of the other two. Everyone's doing that. There might be a few guys flipping and flopping. ADP as well, value as well, initial value in startup drafts. When it comes to these four, if you got a guy and it's Johnston, trade back and get him. Do what you want. I like the guys in this tier, this double tier, whatever you want to call it. Now we're in B, and things are starting to get weird. Things are really starting to get weird. Next wide receiver off the board, Jonathan Mingo. And I got to throw him up here. So, good size, just athleticism. The situation here is going to be interesting. Right now, it's a little bit murky. We got some veteran wide receivers on the roster. He's also going to be developing with a rookie quarterback. So that quarterback's got to develop. He's got to develop. We got a lot of pieces here that's ambiguous. That's got to rise up together. It's got second-round draft capital. Second-round draft capital is good, especially when it's on the high end, 50 and above. That's something you want to shoot at. That's something you want to look at. And he's going at around high-end second-round ADP, and he's also got a fan base behind him because I see it on social media. So he's an asset here that if he starts doing anything, the value is going to shoot up. It's going to shoot up because I've done videos on him. I did videos about other wide receivers who weren't being talked about as much months back. He was getting brought up a lot. I know there's a fan base around him. That creates some equity in his stock. That puts that in there. I know there's a fan base there. So if you flip these players like stocks, that could be something with you as well. Another wide receiver I'm questioning here. Second round. But things are dicey in this draft of wide receiver already. But I like Jayden Reed. I like this prospect profile. I liked what I saw on tape. I liked it, all that. The Packers, though. I want to see what this transition is going to feel like a quarterback. I really do. If he went to a different team, man, to be all in, he might be pushing A tier. He got round 2 draft capital, which is fine with me. Really want to see what this transition to Green Bay is going to be like. They also got some other wide receivers there. It's kind of murky there, but we got the draft capital. And the reason why we're chasing draft capital, because when you're up there a little bit, you got a little better odds. But the thing is, your A1 and A2 guys are the guys you really want in this year's draft. And after that, you're getting kind of dicey. And I already preluded this tier with some diciness. The player I really like, the player that I'm definitely going after in this tier, but his draft capital is a little lighter, is Marvin Muss. Him going to Denver. He's got some aging wide receivers in the offense. You got Jerry Jeudy, you got Sutton there. That's the aging guy I was thinking about. And he's going to be the downfield target because that's what he is. 4'3" guy, nuanced. He's going to get air yards if he's seeing snaps. Hambler experiment is obviously done. We got to get Russell Wilson some pieces. We got a new coaching regime here. We got to change some stuff up. Marvin Mims, good production metrics, good everything, good tape. One thing you say, they weren't top in counting stats here. It was also in the Big 12, so you can also say that. Big 12 wide receivers seem to be more productive. Well, there is. Someone counted that up. Big 12 wide receivers out of the Power 5 are usually more productive when it comes to just their sheer raw counting stats. But Marvin Mims has some good stuff in his profile, and he's cheap. Notice we all got round 2 guys here. And it's because things got ugly in this draft. Things got very ugly. Next, we got Rasheed Rice. I don't like Rasheed Rice. He's an older G5 wide receiver, has a good highlight tape, has a good film study to him. Like, he can rise up, snatch balls out of the air. He can do that in the G5 level. He has a good size to him, a good frame, had a very productive season last year. Rasheed Rice does have some goods to his game. Rasheed Rice is a good player, and he's also going to Kansas. The reason why I don't like him is the metrics, the odds didn't stack well to him, but we do have some good draft capital. He's going to a good landing spot, and against my biases, I can also make a case of how he could win on the field with his team. One thing to note, they drafted a G5 wide receiver last year, Sky Moore. Looks like he's taking some time to develop, and this might be the same thing with Rasheed Rice. So maybe you can catch him at a discount and get him the next year or something like that. Maybe it takes him some time to develop, or he could be a player that hits instantly. One thing we're noticing with these wide receivers going to Kansas City is some of them are taking some time to transition, to really hit it full stride. So you may be able to catch him at a discount later if you like him, but he's not that expensive. You're looking like mid to late second round in rookie drafts right now. That's what I'm seeing in drafts right now. It's a small sample. It's not like it's hundreds of drafts or even like 50 drafts. It's like 15. He's going mid-second-ish, somewhere around there. And that's just from my memory, my dome piece right now. I'm picturing it. That's where he's at, middle-ish of the second round, mid to late, somewhere around there. That's his ADP range. And all these guys, these four here, second round of rookie drafts as well, kind of with the consensus of the rankings. Going to see, some of these guys are in round 3, some of these guys are in round 2. But Jaylin Hyatt, interesting spot. He might outproduce everybody here in B, now that I'm thinking about it. But also got round 3 draft capital. I'm going to just throw him, I don't know, I'm going to put him there. I'm just going to put him there. But C and B right now at the top end, not too much different. The thing is, once you get to B and C, the odds have shrunk. You're looking at less than 50-50 odds with these players. Jaylin Hyatt's in a position where if he's on the field seeing snaps, he might be getting air yards, and this team can really make jabroni wide receivers productive. We saw it last year. We saw it live and in action last year. They're making jabroni wide receivers productive. So if he can get on the field, if he can get targeted, if he's out there running routes, there's a chance he can give you some sort of production. Wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, pop-off game here and there, chasing air yards here and there, something like that. Something that you might be seeing out of Jaylin Hyatt. Could be as early as his rookie season. If he's on the field, he might be just an air yards chaser, and you're just waiting for the production. Who knows? Because he does profile as an air yards guy, a deep threat, a clear-out guy, and that means you could be chasing about 70, 80, 90, 100 air yards a game when he's on the field, maybe reeling in a couple here and there. You never know, but round 3 draft capital, I can see a way he can win. I've seen players who are lesser or comparable win with this team, and we saw it last year, so maybe that can happen. Cedric Tillman. It seems like an interesting landing spot. You keep on getting wide receivers. Kareem Hunt's not there. Is that an indication that they're going to pass a little bit more? Is that an indication for that? They keep getting these wide receivers, and they're just trying to stack them up. They're going to let Watson unleash him, let him throw the ball. Maybe that's going to happen here. Donovan Peoples-Jones, contract, how much longer that's going to be? Cedric Tillman here, could step up, bigger wide receiver, physical. Mark Cooper's played injured a lot during his career. The odds of him going through a full season each year, every year, is getting lesser by the day. Cedric Tillman, not an exuberant talent, had a huge 2021 season. Can show off some ball skills. Cedric Tillman, cheap get. 3rd round, late 2nd round, rookie draft, somewhere around there. If you like him, go get him. But the odds aren't great. That's why he's in Tier C. Josh Downs. I love the metric profile. I love it. I love that he has a good breakout age, large market share, good ball skills. But we all know he's going to be in the slot, which isn't a death knell for fantasy. You can still be productive. But we got a big transition here in Indy. We got Anthony Richardson. What's his offense going to look like? What's the passing volume going to look like going forward? Anthony Richardson does not have that much experience at the college level, so we know he's going to have to develop. Maybe we lean on the run a little bit more. Maybe it's more of a Jonathan Taylor type of game here. They also drafted Hall, another running back, really get some more juice in the run game. Maybe they're just going to rely on the run, maybe have him run a bit, maybe toss it around 20, 25 times a game and see what happens as he develops. And as he develops, he'll do it more. Downs could be productive down the road. It's hard to see it early. Might be a get you can get later, but he's also cheaper right now in rookie drafts, so it doesn't matter. Right now, if I remember right, late second in rookie drafts, maybe early third. That's what we're seeing in the ADP. And now we're going to have to make a hard stance because we got a lot of jabronis left, and we're going to rank them, and it's hard to do. But we have to make a hard stance with this player. We have to figure out what we want. We have to figure out our risk threshold. And if you don't like this risk threshold, just delete D from these tiers. Mark it out. Do what you want. But we have to make a stance. We have to. Kayshon Boutte fell in the draft, went to the Patriots. The draft capital's super, super shitty. Round 6. He's down there. It's not bad. It's not good. It's not a good draft capital. We're also going to the Patriots. However, we got a long road here. But we have to have a road to recovery. We have to start playing like the old Kayshon Boutte. And if we get that back, he's the top wide receiver in his offense. And he's taken over. And he's going to push the A tier in production. And that's what you're shooting for. And that's why you're taking that gamble. And when we're looking at Kayshon Boutte here, and you're looking at him versus ADP, this is imaginary ADP that I got in my head here from looking at all the drafts I can fucking find on the internet. Kayshon Boutte is a mid-third rounder somewhere. Middle, somewhere around there, early third, mid-third, late third. Really depends. Things get sketchy. It's a sketchy draft. It's a sketchy year. No one's going to disagree with that. It's a very sketchy year. It's hard waters to tread. Look at round 2 wide receivers. Look at the round 3 wide receivers. I kind of got them in order by round, and that's just kind of like how things materialize. Jaylin Hyatt can kind of go into B because I really see how that can happen quickly for him outside all these others, so I'm going to move up here. That's how these rankings work. So you better not fast forward or you'll miss something. But Kayshon Boutte got some upside here, but the draft capital puts him in D by himself. Another thing, I want to present him like this so you can get to thinking about Kayshon Boutte and the upside, because we're not drafting with condoms on anymore. Once we get to the 3rd round, we're going to take our guys. We're in the 3rd round, though. 3rd and 4th round. Honestly, we should be chasing running backs because the hit rate of those mid to late round running backs in the real NFL draft have a better discourse than the wide receivers. They can pop off like that, and then you can flip them. And that's what you want to see with those guys. And we have a lot of running backs like that to do that with. But if you want to shoot your shot on a wide receiver who could go nuclear out of nowhere, could be Kayshon Boutte. Could be Kayshon Boutte, but his price tag is kind of high for his draft capital, but we know why. Going down to E, we do have Michael Wilson, 3rd rounder, going to Arizona. Really want to see how that plays out. Also had some health issues during his collegiate career. Also, really want to see more production out of him. Also, Kyler Murray's not going to be there hardly ever on the field during next year. A lot of development here. Later draft cap. Once you get past the top 50 range of wide receivers, they kind of mesh around anyways. Michael Wilson, looking at him, I got him at the top of tier A. What gets him there is draft capital. We have some ambiguity at the wide receiver spot in Arizona. It's going to be hard for him to get a 30% share of the air yards because you got Marquise Brown there. And he's going to be taking the top. Rondale Moore is going to get the short targets. He's going to bank those up. It's going to be hard for him to get something established there. And eventually, he's going to have to either turn up and make something happen. Charlie Jones. Going to the Bengals. I'm not even a Charlie Jones fan. I don't really like him as a prospect. But what I'm thinking about when these late round wide receivers is I'm looking at their pathway to being startable. I'm looking at the offense. What if something happens to Tyler Boyd? What if they move on from Tyler? What if something happens to Tyler Boyd? You got your slot receiver. That could happen. They don't want to pay up for more receivers. What if they sign Higgins to a huge deal? course, Jamar Chase is going to get his. He's not going anywhere. We'll have Charlie Jones. 3 years from now comes their slot receiver. You can probably pick him up on waivers by then. But, man, it's ugly these days at the wide receiver spot. That's what I'm looking at here. Same thing with A.T. Perry. Remember, this is tiers. It's not like he's over him or him over him. You can really do what you want. You can really do what you want. A.T. Perry. Good highlight tape. Good highlight tape, especially on the back nine of his career. Good market share metrics on the back nine of his career. Good hands. Guy you want to get some shares of maybe. One thing about this wide receiver class is one thing about New Orleans and their wide receiver core. You do have Chris Olave, but outside of that, it's pretty ambiguous. You got Derek Carr there. He's got steady hands. Bigger wide receiver. Got a little bit of size to him. Not a bunch, but got some size to him. Can do a little bit of something different. Michael Thomas getting old. We got A.T. Perry coming in new. We saw what he can do at Wake. Something might happen here. Something might budge because it is very ambiguous there. Another one, Puka Nacua with the Rams. Very ambiguous. Very ambiguous situation here with the Rams. And he could work his way into a spot. We saw Schroeneck have some fantasy weeks last year. He had some fantasy productive weeks. People were picking him up. People were ranking him in Dynasty rankings. Schroeneck. Puka Nacua could work his way up. Another sneaky guy. Parker Washington. Because he's in the Jacksonville offense. And we got Trevor Lawrence. He's a big slot receiver. Odds are he's not going to hit. Because we also got some other wide receivers here. We got Calvin Ridley. We got Zay Jones. Evan Ingram's getting targets. Travis Etienne gets targets. Let's move it down here. It's starting to get less realistic now that I play it out in my head. But Justin Shorter. Devy guys know about Justin Shorter because when he was at Penn State, everybody was drooling over his size and just athleticism. Then on Twitter, there was a picture of him with his shirt off. Dude's ripped to shreds, and he's got size. We're also going to Bills. Round 5 draft capital. The wide receiver spot there, outside of Stephon Diggs, very ambiguous. Very ambiguous. Could be a hit down the line. Xavier Hutchinson. We got some wide receivers there, but still ambiguous there as well. Late round draft capital, and you got a new quarterback, Dontavian Wicks. We already got wide receivers there. This team is good at getting late round wide receivers to do something, so wouldn't be surprised. Also, remember this isn't a rank. Also, he was one of those guys I was pegging early as a sneaky prospect due to the athleticism, the range, and size. So maybe so. We got Tank Dell. I'll move him up here because he could be getting some opportunity in the slot down the road. It's just that size adjusted athleticism is hard to bank on, but he is nuanced. We're going to need volume out of him. We're going to need air yards downfield. Could be a sneaky guy, but we'll have to see. Trey Palmer, moving him up here. Why? 4.3 speed, productive, good tape, but fell in the draft. Went to a situation where we're questioning about quarterback. Things might change here in the passing game. They might have attrition here down the line, whether it's by health or by contract, and maybe that allows them to step up. And we're ranking him here because of tape. And think about this, whoever's in these tiers, it's not one for one of who's ranked. Honestly, how I draft is I'll diversify from one player to another. So if I draft Quentin Johnston twice, I might come back and get Zay Flowers. If I draft JSN a few times, I'm going Jordan Addison. And going forward, that's how I like to draft the wide receivers. Overall, here is my game plan when it comes to these wide receivers. A1 and A2, I want them all. I want them all. B tier, I'm diversifying, but I really want the running backs in the second round as well. Same with C. C and B starting to merge together a little bit more. Call them CB. We can do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. There. Makes you happy. CBBC. Let's do that. Let's have some fun with it. Kayshon Boutte is the upside pick. However, I am slamming the running backs in round 3 and round 4 and round 5. And round 2 if I can, unless something falls to me at wide receiver. Maybe I'm getting a running back in the first round, But honestly, round 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm trying to get running backs unless a wide receiver falls to me at the right price. And it has to be the right price. This is a running back draft for me still, even though they fell in the draft. A1 and A2. Guys, I'm going after B, C, and CB. I'm looking at the values. D, upside pick somewhere in the 3rd round because that's what ADP is saying. E and F, upside guys somewhere in there that I'm taking at value, but really I want the running backs. I'm just diversifying between them, and honestly, I'll pick up some of them, but most time they're going to be running backs. Let me know what wide receivers you're trying to get in your drafts. Let me know what picks you got, who you're trying to get, who you already drafted, all that stuff. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Got more rankings coming at you. Don't forget about that running back ranking vid I already got out. I have that posted down below. Check that out to help you with the running backs. But I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.